and go down like a few houses, and on the right will be like a lit up porch, and not really sure the address, but if you're on your way, like I can meet you outside. The very first dog I can remember my family having was this little yellow dog named Molly, and she bit me on the hand once, and I had to go to the hospital and get a stitch for that, and there was just uh, that was kind of bloody, but not as bloody as the other times that I've gotten bitten. Let's see, the second time was my aunt's dog that I was petting, and it bit my fingers. And I mean, I have scars pretty much all over my fingers from dogs biting me. And when I was 8, that was the third time I'd gotten bitten by a dog. And uh, the neighbors told me not to run from their dog if it ever started chasing me, and ended up running from the dog, and it bit my ass when I tried to get away from it, and I had blood just everywhere from that one. And of course, I have a scar there. And then, let's see, the other time was after that was when I had gotten bitten by a Cocker Spaniel, and that ended up being uh, a lot of money because I had to go to the hospital and get plastic surgery for it. And I was just petting it, and it just lashed out and bit my face, and my eyebrow was hanging off. And I just remember the dog hanging onto my eyebrow as I stood up, and there was just blood everywhere. And my family was screaming, and the neighbors were screaming, and they had to rush me to the hospital. And I got plastic surgery and a bunch of stitches for it. And then, so now I have a scar right above my eye here. And then after that, I've just gotten bitten numerous times by other dogs, friends' dogs, neighbors' dogs, brothers' friends' dogs, my parents' friends' dogs. Um, and then another time I got bit by my other friend's dog. She had a pit bull, and it was really old, and it was sleeping, and I snuck up on it, and it bit my hand, and it went all the way down to the bone. And that's probably the worst scar I have on my middle finger right here. And I felt really bad about that one because at that point I was kind of used to being bitten by dogs, so it didn't hurt that bad, but there was just blood everywhere, and it bit me at pretty much the same place in my hand. And every time I got bit, I always got blood everywhere. I don't know why, because it's just my hand, but I just remember my friend's parents yelling that they would pay for the medical bills if I had to go to the hospital for it. And I just told them to just give me a rag and some water, and I could just wash it off, and, just give me some Band-Aids and I'll be okay. And I just remember saying, it's okay, it's okay. You don't have to do anything. And then they were telling me that they were going to, put the dog down the next day. I didn't really think they'd do it, but then the next day, my friend called and told me that they'd actually put the dog to sleep, and I felt really bad about that. I had a dog named Bud that was a big brown lab. He was really obese. All of my family's dogs usually become obese, and a lot of them have gotten ran over on a highway right next to our house too, though. I always remember somebody ringing the doorbell pretty much every year of my life saying that one of our dogs had been ran over, and they were bringing their bodies up to our house. And someone actually backed over it again, and the people that were behind the car had to bring the dog to our house and tell them what happened. And then I had my last dog, which we just had to put her to sleep because she had cancer. It was probably the sweetest dog that we had ever had, and we'd had her for a long time. And we also had another little dog, Shorty, that came up to our house one day and just never left. And we had to put him to sleep just a couple weeks ago because he had a heart disease. And then I have a Chihuahua right now, which she's my dog, and she's the only dog I've ever owned myself. And her name's Garrison, and yeah.
We talk about games.
At my old apartment, when she used to live with me, me and my friends would always sit in a circle and get her high by blowing smoke into her ears. And then if we weren't doing that, we were usually pouring liquor in a bowl, letting her drink liquor. She really likes just cheap beer, or she prefers Jack and Coke. And one time we gave her a lot of Jack and Coke, and she ended up stumbling around the house for a little bit. My friend left a pot brownie in his bag, and he left it in the living room, and he walked off to go to the bathroom, and Garrison found it, and she ate half the pot brownie, and she was pretty high for a few hours after that. My friend called me and told me what happened, and that she was just stoned out of her mind. And so I came home for a little bit and to comfort her, and I could tell that she didn't really know what was going on, because usually Chihuahuas are really energetic, especially my dog. She shakes a lot, and when she was high, she wouldn't shake. She'd just kind of sit there and just look at everyone to see what they were doing. And I remember I couldn't see out of my left eye, so I didn't know if I still had it or not when I got to the hospital, but that was bad.
Well, how long was it before you knew that you could see?
I remember laying in the hospital bed when they were putting stitches in my face, and I just remember opening my eye, I guess after they got the blood out, and watching the doctor putting the stitches in my eyebrow, which was weird that I wasn't asleep when they were doing it. But yeah, I don't remember it hurting that bad because my whole head was just numb because of, I guess, the shock from the dog biting me.
Okay, that's awesome.
Like the next day, they didn't even come to apologize about the dog like biting me in the face. They just sent a fruit basket. They just had somebody deliver a fruit basket, and it wasn't even them in person. And I just remember asking my parents like if the dog was still alive, and my parents still brought me over to the house when I was younger after that happened. To like we'd always go fishing at this pond behind the people's house, and every time we came over there, I was always so afraid that the dog was going to be like going outside. It was like one of the worst things I was afraid of when I was younger, was that one dog.
Did they ever talk to you about it? Like, hey, Lindsay, sorry about that whole thing?
No, they might have apologized to my parents, but all I got was some fruit in a basket. And it wasn't even from them personally, just the delivery person.